sense because I have a very strong connection to Egypt. I feel I've been there many times in past lives. Was pretty extraordinary in itself. So then to be able to ingest one and to feel that kind of cleansing, and it was really subtle. It wasn't like it was a powerful, vision-producing kind of thing, but my dreams for several weeks after were very extraordinary. And as a psychic, as somebody who channels, as somebody who connects to those places, it was a really big mind opener. So it really did, again, another push into the work that I do. And it's a part of me. It's in my cells now. That's how I feel about it, and that's how I work with it. So when I travel into the ethers, when I go into that state of mind to work with clients or to do a reading, I connect to that plan, and I use it as a guide.
Uh-huh.
So as far as initiation goes, that's really what initiation is all about, is being able to, integrate something like that into your own experience of who you are.
So it enhances you. It has enhanced your empathic abilities, is what
Yes.
it sounds like.
In a nutshell.
Well, one of the things, Hillary, that I find fascinating about you and I very much relate to is your willingness to experiment and to stay open and follow where the path leads. And that's really how I've lived my life. And it takes you places you never thought you would go. But and I don't, my belief system over the years has morphed many times. How about with you? These experiences change us, and we stop believing some of what we once believed dearly and take on whole new beliefs. Has that been the case with you?
Well, yeah, and I think that's the case with everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the point. I think that's the point of life. I think that's the point of what we're here to do. And I think that...
Well, yeah, but you know what, Hillary? That's you and I come by saying that those words very easily. But the largest segment of the population, the idea of changing what they believe is heretical. They don't want to do that. It's so
Yeah.
I think sometimes we're this comes so natural to us that we don't really appreciate the impact and the power of what goes on for us. The numbers of people that you affect because of who you are and what you believe is really, really, really powerful, Hillary. I just want to kind of acknowledge that for you. Sometimes we get so caught up in what we're doing, we don't just realize just how much effect we really can have, even though that's what we're trying to do.
Well, I thank you for that, because it's very true. And
Yeah.
I have a small group of people who are wonderful, and they help me, and they support me in my work, and they act as a staff on a volunteer basis, and it's really wonderful, because without them I wouldn't be able to do what I do. And you're right, you do get busy, and you forget the impact. But I think that's a good point, George, because, people forget their impact when they're crossing the street and they flip someone the bird,
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
they give a dirty look, or they call a woman, the B word, or whatever it is. We can say that in the air, can't we?
Yeah, we sure can.
You have to understand that the quality of interaction that we have with other people is so potent and so powerful that no matter what our belief systems are, we're spreading that energetically. So the next time you cross, I'm going to challenge people watching and people listening, is, the next time you cross paths with somebody, think about that. Think about the impact that you might be having on somebody simply by smiling at them or being nice, or, not coming from a place of, judgment, or looking at somebody and judging what they look like. I think that's really, really important, and you're right, George, because sometimes we forget there are a lot of people out there. This world would be a totally different place that come from a different perspective where, things are like this. It's never going to change, and these are my beliefs, and this is the way that it is.
Well, what you're asking right now is probably the most. I don't want to say the most spiritual thing, but it is a very high spiritual act that you're asking people to do. What I'm hearing you say is you're suggesting that they be present in the moment and aware of their actions. And that's huge on this spiritual path. So it takes some people lifetimes, not just one, to get to the place where they're even willing to consider that. Most people are so on automatic pilot. Um, and I couldn't agree with you more. I think this awakening process, this transformation that from what I read, you and I are, both in the belief that we're in the middle of a kind of a revolutionary transformational process. We certainly better be. Uh, but most people are asleep, and changing their perspective and their ideas and waking them up is really what it's all about, isn't it?
Well, it is. I feel that is what it's about, and you know, the name of your show says a lot to what we're going through.
Yeah.
The process is that we're getting away from the dogma and it has to be this way, and there's a mediator between myself and a higher power. We need to walk away from that, in my opinion. And I know that a lot of people would get very angry about that.
Well, they do get angry, but that's okay. They say things that could make lots of people angry too. I heard somebody the other day telling me that his religion had ran over his dogma, and he was very sad. So, but yeah, you know what? It's unfortunate when you, as a matter of fact, seeing how that we're here in this part of the conversation, what do you think the impact of just take the three major religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam? What do you think the impact is on transformation, and what part will they play in this transformation that we're looking to have occur? Have you thought about that?
Well, I have. I mean, on my show, I talk, I touch base on some exopolitics, and we get into some of these big topics. On my Facebook page, I have a really large following, and I'll post stuff on there to stir the pot, so to speak, and get people to talk about it. But what I think is really happening is they're trying to, keep control over what's happening and trying to kind of grow at the same time. So we have a very interesting mix of very old worldly-like thought processing and protocol and control issues, trying to adjust and transform, and you're having a mixture of responses from that, not only from the people, but within the organization. I mean, when you look at the Catholic Church and you look at, what's coming to surface now with a lot of the child abuse cases, you have to ask yourself, well, what's really been going on all these years, and what are we really worshiping, and what's happening to all of this, and what kind of, examples are we setting for people and in our own belief systems, and trying to push something that really suppresses. I mean, when I talk about divine feminine consciousness, eventually I have to talk about the Inquisition and the collective woundage that comes from being a woman.
And even before that,
for being healers and along those lines.
Yeah, well, and even centuries before that, Hillary.
Yeah, yeah.
But well,
it's been going on for a long time. But modern day people hold this connection to church.
Right.
In those three major religions, is the connection to church, and so they have lost their connection to nature. I mean, church can really be anywhere outside. It can be someplace that you find a connection to God, to whatever that may be for yourself.
Absolutely.
But I think it's changed. It has to change. I mean, you can't. It's kind of like trying to keep a herd of cattle that's grown beyond capacity to hold in the corral, so to speak, and eventually you have to open up that gate and let people out.
Well, if I belong to an organization that deprives any segment of humanity of their human rights, and I may disagree with that reality that they're denying those human rights, I am still supporting that organization, and I become a huge part of the problem just by being a member of that. And if you suggest that to people, and they become very incensed about it, but it's a reality. I mean, if I might not believe what the Ku Klux Klan did for years, but if I'm a member of the Ku Klux Klan, even though I may not participate, I'm still part of the energy.
That's right.
And
right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like saying, I don't believe in judging people, but look at that person, how horrible he's dressed, he must be lower class.
Absolutely.
It's the same kind of thing. So it's really becoming walk your talk, and getting back to your roots and trying to understand what that even means, and finding somebody who does understand what that means and is able to guide them. I mean, we're really coming out of, in my own opinion, and I know that this is going to, come back because it always does, but we're really not in the age of finding a guru.
No. That's
We've
that's
kind of
over.
moved beyond that, I would hope, because, the guru that we're supposed to be finding is inside of ourselves, and, it's really a process of going inside and finding that connection to self and to truth and to who we are, and understanding what that even means and how to express it in your own life and move forward and share it with other people in a way that isn't condescending or, righteous. There's a sort of spiritual, egotistical kind of attitude that can come out of that, too. So we have to be really careful to always balance ourselves, to balance male and female energies and understanding what that means, and balancing the light and dark, and respecting what both teach, and just, living our lives in a way that creates a sense of balance. And then we become kind of mirrors for other people to take a look at and say, well, maybe I need to do something too. It's never about going out and pointing the finger at somebody else and saying, well, you need to do this.
Well,
When somebody speaks their truth, that's their truth, whether we agree with it or not.
Well, spiritual pride,
Can't even get over the fact that people speak their truth and it doesn't agree with ours.